Hi and welcome to Healthy Life Hacks. I'm Jefferies, the present day wise woman, a realistic naturopath coming to you from the surfing beaches of Australia. This podcast is for those of you who are wanting to really rock your life and health and live from a place of prevention. Let's get into today's episode. I'm fine. I really am. I'm fine. Yep, I'm good. I'm coping. I'm fine. Yep. Well, the reality is when you say that, you generally are not. You are generally numbed out. And it's kind of like our brain just wants to check out for a while because it's like everything, the world, everything just seems too big, too complex, too much. And it's just like, I have to just escape. And we numb out. Well, Brené Brown talks about numbing out. And I absolutely agree. I have done it. And I've worked with so many clients over the years that do it too. So I wanted to talk about this today because I've been talking about it in my Rising Crone group, which is a group where I help to mentor women my age, the 40 plus kind of women who are looking for what's next in their life. And I was talking about that because we've been working through Brené Brown's book. And it's such a big thing that I really wanted to talk about it here on this podcast as well. So let's get into it. It's kind of like we numb our emotions as a way of avoiding painful feelings or traumatic experiences. So like I said, when everything's just like, too much, we shut down. The thing is, like Brené Brown says, we can't selectively numb our emotions. So when we do that, when we check out and we just go, I'm fine, and cope just to get through it, we're numbing it down. So yes, we're numbing down the painful emotions or what we can't cope with. The challenge is we actually numb down the really positive ones as well. And it's not cool. It's really not cool long-term, and it's sure not cool short-term. And like I said, I've done it. I get it. I've done it. And it's something that I consciously work on to create different behaviors with. And that's what I want to talk about. So these are some of the most common ways that we numb ourselves. See which ones you can relate to. Just think about this for a moment. Saying I'm fine. That's the classic. That's the first. I'm fine. I'm good. Got it. Yep. Got it all sorted. Alcohol and drugs. They're really obvious kind of ones. Maybe things like soft drinks and sugary kind of foods or high carb foods. They're really common too, the emotional eating. Nowadays, we've got social media. So being that, mindless scrolling, that's one. Staying really busy can be a way that we numb down. It's a way that we cope. I know I've done that in the past. And nowadays, even things like online shopping. I know that online shopping went through the roof during COVID and people were just like running numb 24 hours a day because it was like, what is going on? And online shopping went through the roof. Now, none of these things on their own are actually bad for them. They're just not. But when we're using them to escape from what we're really feeling, what the emotion really is, that's when it's not cool. And Brené Brown talks about how when we numb down something, whatever it is, it can numb down our feelings so that we don't have to feel vulnerable. Oh, yes, the V word, vulnerable. And again, I totally know that I've done it in the past. I remember in my younger years, I would check out for days or a week, just do the quiet, go inside and just kind of, I'm good, and I'm fine. And I really wasn't, but I was in such a space, I didn't want to feel vulnerable and express what I was feeling. And definitely there's still points of that comes through to me sometimes nowadays. It's a lifetime. And so far it's been a lifetime kind of learning for me, but it's something I'm at least aware of. And I love being in a relationship with a supportive partner that can help call me on that if I, do an old default to it, for instance. So bottom line, we check out so that we don't have to feel vulnerable, but we also, like I said, we numb ourselves down from all the good feelings too, like things like love and belonging and creativity and empathy and just safety. We take all that away when we go, I'm fine, and we check out. Now, we're all different. We are all different. And what can be numbing down for one person can actually be energizing and comforting to someone else. So there's no textbook list. The thing is, we know if we're checking out. We know if we're doing that, I'm fine, or if we're reaching for a drink or some sugary foods or a soft drink or whatever it is, we know. So it's time to be honest with ourselves and go, okay, yes, I've done this in the past, no story, no problem, not giving ourselves any kind of hard time for it, but bringing it to a notice so that in the next time we start heading into that same kind of response, we can have a strategy to deal with things differently. And that's what I want to get into today. So how do we really know if we are numbing down? It's kind of like how you're feeling afterwards that reveals whether it was numbing or if it was a pleasure. So if you jump into the sugary foods or the carb foods or the alcohol or check out and have a sleep or go and do an hour of mindless scrolling, how do you feel after you've done that? Are you thinking like, like you're more drained in energy, still feeling numb, and maybe starting to give yourself a hard time for it? What is it? Or are you up and happy and cool and enjoying it? So let's break it down. Imagine I am hanging out with a gorgeous friend and I'm watching a movie on telly, and it could be on Netflix or any of those kind of things, but I'm watching something. I am conscious, I'm connected, and it's all pleasure. Yay. You know that feeling. How good is that? Cool. So imagine watching something you don't really want to watch to start with, and your brain starts getting distracted, and maybe you reach for your phone and you start scrolling, or your brain's thinking of what else you've got to do tomorrow or what you've done today. You're getting restless. You may be bored. That's numbing down. Big difference. So watching a movie could be really pleasurable, and watching a movie could also be a time when you're checking out. So when we numb, like I said, we're numbing to avoid vulnerability. And Brené Brown describes vulnerability as uncertainty, it's risky, or it feels risky, and it's an emotional exposure. It's like, wow, I'm laying it all out, and I have no idea how whoever I'm being vulnerable with is going to respond to me. And it can just be like so damn scary that it's easier to numb down, numb out, numb anything. It's uncomfortable. I know I have absolutely squirmed in the past when I'm feeling vulnerable, and that's why I have checked out in things in the past. So vulnerability at its core, it's kind of like, it's the heart, it's the center of what it means to be a human being. And we can't just selectively numb our emotions. So if we do numb, we numb it all. Instead of being just comfortable, for instance, even if it was just in restlessness and being bored, instead of just going, yeah, that's just where I am, just acknowledge it and be it. When we numb it down, we numb down any possible feelings of love and joy and all the good stuff as well. So I wanted to share a few hacks that can stop us numbing down emotionally. So let's get into them. Number one, be real. Where are you at? Is what you're doing pleasurable, or is it numbing? Like I use social media for my business, so I'm consciously scrolling at different times, but that's for my work. It's not numbing down. So let's think about it. It's just been Easter. I totally had a 6-pack of hot cross buns over Easter. I love hot cross buns and I hang out all year for them. So for me, total conscious pleasure, no guilt, no nothing. And I love that I'm backing it up the next couple of days with doing some deep cleanse days to balance it out. All pleasure, no numbing, consciously. You may have eaten too many Easter eggs or too many hot cross buns or something at Easter time, and you might be giving yourself a hard time. So be real. What you're doing, even just today, is it bringing pleasure, for real pleasure, or are you giving yourself a hard time for it, and are you numbing down? Number two, so what are your pleasurable kind of activities that you like to do? Do you like to go for a walk? Do you like me? Surfing is pure pleasure. Do you like to read? I love to garden. So I know from a work point of view, I'm working from home, and about every hour to hour and a half every day when I'm working, I'll go out and I'll do a lap of the garden, say hi to a couple of plants, and it's pure pleasure. It's not a numbing down. It's a way for me to balance out my day, and that brings me pleasure and doesn't tax my body. Cool. So that's one. It's, what is your pleasurable activities that you can do to help you manage stress? And from a place of prevention is the best way. So you'll start to get to know what your triggers are. And if you feel yourself starting to go, go for a walk, go for a surf, read a book, garden, whatever it is. Okay. So number 3 is then to consciously schedule those pleasurable activities. Bring them into your day. Like I know as a structure that every hour to hour and a half when I'm working in my office, I'll go out and I'll walk the garden, get a little bit of sunshine or rain, depending what's going on, but I'll I'll go and consciously do something that brings me pleasure to balance out so I don't go into overwhelm and get the too hards or any of those things through the day and want to numb down. What are your pleasurable activities that you can schedule in advance? That's the best strategy. Number 4 is we want to feel the discomfort or the emotion, whatever it is, and just be okay with it. Squirm, feel it. Don't feel, it's just like, surrender to it and just let yourself feel it and be okay with feeling whatever the emotion is and then deal with it. Number 5 is no justifying, no blaming, no complaining. Just feel it all and breathe. And I know from a default point of view, it's really easy to justify, it's okay. I've got my period and that's why I'm emotional today. No, bullshit. No, that could be part of it. But whatever has triggered you is what's brought that to the forefront. Okay, so if you're a woman and you're still getting periods or whatever, do that. Or it's not like, I'm tired and that's why this, or but you said that and that's why this. That's not it either. You want to just feel it. So breathe deep, fill your belly, just slow down your breathing through your nose and just feel it. You're not going to die. You might squirm and feel uncomfortable, but the breathing will help you to move through it versus numbing down and suppressing it. Number 6 is to remove all the distractions that allow us to numb down, like your phone for social. So if you're going to sit down and watch a movie or something, put the phone away. Or I use timers. Even when I'm using my socials or phone or something for work, I have timers and alarms set for everything. So I know if I'm going to have half an hour at this activity, whatever it is, it goes on, I set the alarm, I get off. Done. Alarm setting is number 7 because it's so valuable as a way to literally bring you back out of what you may have gone down in the past. So there are a few strategies that can really help. Brené Brown says, and I love this so much, vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. And it's the source of hope, empathy, accountability, and authenticity. Whoa, that's big. If we want to create greater clarity in our purpose or a deeper and more meaningful life, vulnerability is the path. Numbing down is not. So do we have to do something with this? No, you don't have to. But I know in my life, when I have done it, it's created such a different experience. And my partner and I, we kind of joke about the fact that you're squirming, even if it's just giving and receiving, it's been easier for me in the past to give compliments versus receive them. So we consciously make each other grow in that department by making each other squirm, by, loving on it and giving compliments. It's another growth point, but let's us feel vulnerable and feel the emotions that we feel when someone genuinely gives you a compliment and you get to receive it. There's so much in it. I love it. It does. It helps us live that deeper, cooler life. I've had to learn how to watch myself and become aware of when I'm checking out, and how I was an alcoholic in my 20s. That was my biggest one. I checked out for years until I sorted that out. It was like, that was my worst one. That was in my younger years, but I don't give myself a hard time for it. It's like, it was just part of the journey for me to get to where I am today. And I love that I don't need to do any of those kind of things anymore. So it's just a growth point. So don't give yourself a hard time. Okay, that doesn't work. I leave you with one healthy life hack, and that is to choose one, even just one of the hacks that I listed in those 7 in advance, and think, okay, this is a strategy that I can use for when I start checking out and numbing. So if you're going to go for the sugary foods or the carbs, it's just, life is just too much for a moment during the day. And instead of you going and numbing out like you normally would, have it as a strategy that every time you feel like you want to go and eat carbs or sugar, you go and walk the garden, or you go for a 10-minute walk around the house. That's all, something to distract you. And it doesn't suppress it. It channels the energy differently. It'll help you just to feel it and move through it versus stuffing it down, which stuffs down all the good stuff in life as well. So if you want to get hold of the show notes, head over to healthylifehacks.com.au, and I'll actually put a link in there to the book that I took this from, that I absolutely love, of Brené Brown's. I want to thank you for being here today. If you enjoyed my podcast, please let me know by leaving a review on Apple Podcast. Every month, I draw one lucky person who leaves a review on Apple Podcasts to have a free 1-hour consultation with me. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you're tuning in from so that you always catch the next episode. And if you would like to receive a free copy of my Feed Your Body ebook, simply click the link in the comments below. Join my newsletter and we will get that free ebook sent to you. I welcome your emails, and you can write to me at podcast@healthylifehacks.com.au. Until next time, remember, when it comes to life, live it, love it, and get on with it.